and I will.
Want me to take an attempt at that?
Yes.
Okay, I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
I do solemnly swear that I will defend the Constitution of the United States.
Oh, you want me to say that?
and
Oh, no,
of the
no.
state
No, he's being re-sworn in.
I see.
Okay, and of the state, need to move it over there, of Missouri,
And the state of Missouri.
and that I will faithfully conduct myself in the office of trustee of St. Louis Community College.
And I will faithfully conduct myself in the office of trustee of St. Louis Community College. Okay, Jessica, I'm signing it officially for you to see, so.
Got it.
Yeah, so you're stuck with me for 6 more years, so whether you like it or not, I'm here for 6
Congratulations to both of you on a rather solid victory.
Yeah,
Yes.
congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you all.
So we are excited to be on the board, and for officially, just for the record, Subdistrict 1, the board basis of certification, of course, Kevin and Martin, 21,050, Theo Brown Senior, 14,176, and Mary Lipke, Subdistrict 4, 19,683, and Patrick J. McKelvey, 13,553. And be it resolved that we declare both of them certified and duly elected. So thank you again. Just want to officially read that for the record for that. So I have not heard from Pam yet, so we will continue to work through the agenda. So there are citizens wishing to address the board regarding agenda items. We want to please note that folks do have 3 minutes to speak to the board. All comments are due to Jessica Groves by 3 p.m. on June 25th, 2020. Please note that some were submitted after the 3 p.m. The board will receive those documents and will respond accordingly. However, only comments submitted by 3 p.m. will be read tonight. This is the only item under citizens desiring to address the board regarding agenda items. Hi, this is Ellen McCluskey, communication professor at Wildwood. I want to congratulate Mary Lipke on her election to the St. Louis Community College Board of Trustees. I know your love for students will greatly be appreciated at the college. Way to go, Mary. You got this, Ellen.
Oh, that's nice.
Congratulations again. That was the only comment wishing to submit to address the agenda items on the board tonight. So thank you again for that. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Been moved by Larson, second by Marshall. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 6, recommended approval of the May 14, 2020 work session minutes.
So moved.
Been moved by Graham,
Second.
second by Marshall. Any corrections, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Seeing none. Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 7,
Okay,
recommended
all right, thanks.
approval of the May 14, 2020 regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Been moved. Is there a second? Hey, Pam.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you to Jessica for that.
Oh, good. Is there a motion, a second?
Second.
Second by Graham. Any discussion for our edits for the minutes of the regular meeting on May 14th? Mark, yep. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Nays? Motion carries. Thank you. Recommended approval of resolution regarding August 2020 executive session for legal purposes 610.0211, real estate 610.0212, personnel 610.0213, representative negotiation group 610.0219, identifiable personal records 610.02113, or discuss records which are protected by law 610.0214.
So moved.
Been moved.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Jessica, roll call vote, please.
G, he's not here, right? Okay. Graham,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Lubke,
Yes.
Marshall, Yes. Ross,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item number 9, resolution for Brandy Englert, which is the board Senate chair. So I'm going to go ahead and read the resolution. Whereas Brandy Englert joined St. Louis Community College in 2008 as an adjunct professor and became a full-time faculty member in 2014. And whereas Ms. Englert serves as the assistant chair for mathematics department at the Forest Park campus, and whereas Ms. Englert has served as a faculty coordinator for Phi Theta Kappa and is instrumental in the excellence in mathematics competition. And whereas Ms. Englert serves as the chair for the newly developed College Senate, and whereas as chair, Ms. Englert structured the Blackboard space for College Senate, creating an opportunity for constituents to provide input on agenda items and leads the agenda setting meetings. And whereas Ms. Englert sets a collegial tone for the Senate meetings, ensures all perspectives were heard, and managed the meetings to ensure the full agenda was covered. And whereas Ms. Englert also set up and facilitated multiple virtual forums to allow faculty and staff to discuss significant recommendations to changes to administrative policy based on board trustees revisions to board policy. Now therefore be it resolved, St. Louis County Board of Trustees recognizes Brandy R. Englert for her service to the college and expresses sincere and heartfelt appreciation. Be it further resolved, the expression of gratitude and appreciation be made permanent part of the record of the Board of Trustees this 25th day of June 2020. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Been moved.
Second.
Second. I will say thank you so much, Ms. Englert, for all of your work for our first year of College Senate. It was an exciting time. It's been certainly something in the works for a while that the board has asked for some structure changes to that, and we appreciate you leading that charge, certainly for the first year, our inaugural year of College Senate, and you had a lot of work that got done, and we appreciate all of your feedback and work that you led for the whole college with that, to ensure every voice was heard. So thank you so much. I know you're not here physically, but maybe you're on there virtually. So thank you on behalf of the board. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions, nays, yeas have it. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to recommended approval of the fiscal year 2021 operating and capital budget. Paul Zink, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you should have in your packet at that tab.
We lose Paul.
He's there and not there, so we'll give him a second. There he is.
Thank you. I think you were changing formats at the same time that that I was changing formats. I apologize for that. So you should have in your packet the budget book. It looks pretty much like this. It includes in there the budget for all of our funds, most notably the general operating fund. These are the same. This is the same budget, I should say, that we presented to you in May. However, as I reported to you in May, we still were waiting for some more information to be further defined as far as you know, what's going to happen with the state budget, and also what's going to happen with the enrollment. So we were sort of waiting along a little bit. I do have just a brief presentation where I could talk about the difference between the budget we presented to you at the beginning of May, now almost 6 weeks ago, and certainly the budget that we presented now. So I would just go through that real quickly, kind of to recap where we were at May. This is our general operating budget, and you do see the general operating budget's summary on pages 3 and 4 of the booklet that you have in your agenda items. You'll remember that we were at a deficit budget of about $2.6 million dollars, and we still had some work to do. So we have done a number of things. First of all, state appropriations. We were waiting at that time for the General Assembly to sort of finish their work on the budget, and they did. And there was in our May draft an assumption that the state budget would include a cut to state appropriations by around 10%. We were putting that in there as a placeholder, sort of waiting to see how things went through the legislative process. When they finished that process at the end of the middle of May, May 15th, we were pleased to see that the General Assembly had recommended a budget to the governor that actually was level for community colleges, including STLCC, of course. We, however, immediately thereafter started to hear from the governor's office and the state budget office and the Office of Administration that we should expect some rather significant cuts still from the governor by way of withholds. And as of this date and late this afternoon, when I last checked, the governor still has not signed the budget, nor has the governor and his staff determined what those withholds might look like. In fact, we think there's a possibility that there might not be even withholds at the beginning of the budget year, but somewhere later on. We continue to discuss this matter with the MCCA, with the President's and Chancellor's Council, and Dr. Pittman at Dr. Pittman's level, and I've continued to discuss it with the CFOs at the community colleges, and of course internally. As we looked at the last budget withhold that we had in this current fiscal year 2020 on June 1st, it totaled up that this year the state had withheld approximately 16% of our funding that was promised in the legislative process last year. So we have increased our projected reduction from 10% to about 2 months of funding, which is 16.67% actually. So we've changed that in the recommended budget that's before you this evening. Also, we were fortunate to, with Chancellor Pittman's work with the President's and Chancellor's Council of MCCA, to get agreement from the other 11 community colleges in the state to put the equity adjustment on hold. That actually is in our favor. We do tend to lose about $600,000, $620,000 to that year over year. So those two sort of netted out, and you see that in the budget again for state appropriations that's presented to you this evening. As far as summer enrollment, when we presented the budget to you in May, we were assuming that there would be about a 30% decline for summer. We were still tracking summer enrollment, of course. And then we also projected forward for next year because the budget actually has a piece of this year's summer, half of this year's summer enrollment or revenue, and then half of next year. As of the census date, which was just last week, very pleased to say that we ended up in enrollment up 6% in credit hours from last year, from last summer. Really think that's amazing given the situation that we've all are experiencing and sort of change in operations. We've also seen a rather significant, I think, change, by the way, in expenses as we're teaching less sections. And of course, you know, we don't have a lot of our buildings being fully occupied. So we revised the summer projections to remain steady from last year. So that brings in a little bit more revenue, of course, to our fiscal 2021 budget. We're also taking a look at the fall enrollment, of course, and in the fall enrollment, we're holding steady with a recommended budget with a fall enrollment decline of about 25%. I would like to say that that is in line with what I'm seeing from my peers, the other CFOs across in the community colleges across the state. And as I told you at the budget presentation in May, I fully expect that we will revisit our budget when more is known in the fall related to state funding as well as our fall enrollment. So I think that's a reasonable forecast at this point. We did put together at the college a COVID-19 budget response team, and this has been a multidisciplinary group, you know, folks from student affairs and academic affairs and across the district. Also, Ms. Englert, who you mentioned from the Senate, has been representing the governance process, governance groups in that. And they put forward a number of recommendations. One is that we might consider an increase to our per credit hour charge for spring 21 and summer 21. And so in the budget that's before you tonight, there is again, an estimation that we will increase those rates by $2. So you see that increases our in-district rate from $99 to $101, and you see the others accordingly. We're not actually putting that rate increase itself in front of you tonight. I think it'd be prudent at this time to sort of wait and see what happens with fall enrollment and then make that decision. But it's critical that we get back to you to make that decision prior to starting with springtime enrollment, which we usually roll out during the month of late October, early November. So we just included that, however, in the budget figures. Once again, with a full expectation, given our current situation with COVID-19 pandemic, that we will revisit the budget again sometime in the fall. So you see here, this sort of shows again the difference between the budgets. I will add there's a page at the back of that budget book that looks sort of like what I'm holding here, and it shows all of this with all of the detailed lines. But you can see that the challenge to the college is that in our budget for fiscal year 2021, we are estimating almost $15 million less revenue. And so we've just had to adjust to that. We reported to you in May, we had adjusted to that by freezing a number of positions, 75 to be precise. We had already reduced part-time employee budgets by 15%. We had done a number of other things at that time. What you're seeing on the screen here is some additional adjustments we've made since that time. And these were recommendations from that budget response team that were recommendations of sort of quick, I guess shorter term is probably the better phrase, adjustments we could make. The first is that we could implement the convenience fee on credit card payments by our students and customers. This is something an awful lot of colleges have done. We, in the past, have been reluctant to do so. The college pays about $300,000 in credit card fees for people who are making payment with credit card fees in an annual, in a fiscal year. So that was looked at as being a rather large expense. We, of course, still will offer ways for students and customers to make payment and not have to incur this fee. They could pay by check or by, electronic ACH check, if you will, and there's no fee for that. This is also in line with what you see at almost any state office and a lot of federal offices and other, cities, city governments and such, where in a lot of schools across the country where they have gone to passing this fee on to the card holder. Another recommendation from that budget response team was to reduce professional development budgets in the new year and also reduce travel budgets. These, quite frankly, seem to be like low-hanging fruit. We sort of know going into the fall with our changed environment, there won't be a lot of travel going on, a lot of conferences going on, and those sorts of things. So, so we went ahead and changed those in this budget you see in front of you tonight. As far as salaries and benefits, two things that are rather significant. We've added another 15% reduction to the fiscal year 21 starting budgets for part-time employee expenses. So departments will just need to figure out how they're going to adapt to that. Lastly, I think it was announced a couple of weeks back that the Chancellor and senior leadership have taken a 6-day furlough through the fall. So that amounts to 1 unpaid day per month for 6 months. And so that provided some savings to the budget for fiscal 21 as well. All of that left us, you can see in the box at the bottom here, with leaving $1.5 million still to balance the budget. Understanding that the board's desire and instructions to us is to submit to you a balanced budget. What we have done is we have reduced in the budget before you tonight, that $1.5 million is unidentified as of yet savings. We've reduced it in salary and benefit expense. If you look at the budget that's presented to you, and of course you all know this, our salary and benefits really represents the biggest part of our expenses. And we've already made some very significant changes to our operating expenses otherwise. And what we discussed with the budget response team is that we would need to take a little bit more time and be very deliberate with this. And certainly, most importantly, I think, need to discuss this with each of the 6 labor unions that the college has current contracts with that represent our employees. So we are recommending to you and asking you to approve a budget that includes this reduction as unidentified savings, and the administration will engage those labor groups, those labor unions, in a conversation as to how we can approach those savings following your approval of the budget. So again, just to summarize the expenses, you can see here we've reduced expenses by $12.1 million, and that leaves that 1.5 there. Overall, we end up with that balanced recommended budget that you see in the budget book before you for the general operating fund. Here on screen, you can see the changes from last year to this year. We've also reduced transfers. I didn't address that tonight. We hadn't changed that since the budget that was presented to you in May. That change is that we had reduced the amount transferred to the capital fund for large renovation projects. We had initially planned on moving about $3 million over to that fund for that purpose this year. And again, the decision was made that we should just set those aside until a future budget year. Certainly, I know there's a lot of information in that budget book that you have before you. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
Paul, I do have a question.
Pam?
Yeah, you showed 3.5 million, 6 or something in under revenue, other, and is that just interest or is that something other than interest?
Yeah, that's a good question. That includes interest. A lot of that is the interest in investment income, but that also includes some other things. As you know, we lease a portion of our property at the corporate college building at 3221 McKelvey. We have tenants in there, so all of that rental income is included there. It also includes, well, just a number of other, just kind of really minor things. We have a cell phone tower at Flow Valley on the campus. We received some rental income for that.
Ah, okay.
We have also a radio and cell tower out at the Wildwood campus where we lease that out to the county. So there's some other just small revenue sources.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And certainly, you know, I think we'll see a late fall enrollment. Hopefully we'll see a spike in enrollment in the fall like we did summer. And certainly, you know, I think as more and more institutions are making decisions about what fall is going to look like, I think that will determine certainly what, you know, students decide to do, whether they want to go to four-year school or not. And so I know the Chancellor's shared with us some mailings that are going out to folks to encourage them to stay local and transfer your credits and save money. So hopefully we will see that increase and not have to worry about finding $1.5 million additionally, but certainly hopefully our revenue increases $1.5 million. Thank you for that. Other questions? Anything else? If not, is there a motion to approve the fiscal year 21 operating and capital budget?
So moved.
Second. Second.
It's been moved by Ross, second by Graham. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nays? Motion carries. Thank you. Operating budget is approved. Next item is under tab G in the PDF file, which is the recommended approval of the fiscal year 2020-2023 strategic plan led by Dennis White and many, many others. Is there a motion to approve the strategic plan as presented?
So moved.
It's been moved by Larson,
Second.
second by Marshall. Any discussion? I'll say I look forward, you know, I think it's a great plan. I look forward, Dr. Pittman and I have talked, so each month they're going to present to the board on one of the themes, each month rotating so the board can get updated specifically as a, not a workshop, but as an information item. So we're updated at least twice a year on each of the themes throughout the year. So over the 8 months, we'll receive an update twice on each of the themes. So I look forward to that update. And I think it will help us keep going in the right direction. So any other comments?
I just wanted to point out, there will be a couple just minor edits to the one that you have. One is we, I don't know why, but we left off the trustees. So we're going to add the list of trustees to the download, which you have there, and to the brochure. And then the KPIs, I'm going to remove that line underneath that says quarterly or annual, just so that we have a lot of flexibility as far as when we actually look at them and present them to the board. So that's just very minor edits, but I wanted everybody to be aware of that.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you again for your work on leading that as well.
You.
Seeing none, all in favor of approval of the strategic plan?
Aye.
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 Abstentions, nays, ayes have it. Thank you. Motion approved. Next item is recommended approval, waiver of lodging and approval of revised board policy 8.1, college mission vision values, effective immediately. This is just updated based on what we have in the strategic plan for us to actually put them in board policy. We left it blank last time when we approved board policies. Is there a motion to approve and waive lodging and approval of revised policy A1 for effective immediate date?
So moved.
Been moved by Ross,
Second.
second by Graham. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Nays? Ayes have it. Motion approved. Thank you. Item number 13 is recommended approval to authorize the Chancellor to approve new hires, reclassifications, reorganizations, contracts, and bid awards beginning June 26, 2020 and ending July 10th, 2020, prior to ratification at the August 2020 meeting with approval of both the chair and the vice chair. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
It's been moved by Larson.
Second.
Second by Graham. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Noes? Ayes have it. Thank you. Moving on to the next item, which is recommended approval of authorizing the Chancellor to fill essential IT positions prior to ratification at the following month's meeting for a period of 1 year, so through June 30th, 2021. Motion for approval?
So moved.
Been moved by Graham,
Second.
Second.
second by Larson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item number 15, recommended approval of appointing trustee Ann Marshall to the ACCT Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Been moved by Ross,
Second.
second by Larson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstentions? Nays? Ayes have it. So Jessica will get that paperwork submitted to ACCT. So
Thank you all.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Next item is recommended approval of the fees and fines schedule as presented.
Is that the one that we looked at tonight, the $2?
No, this is the one for PE, bowling fees, golf
Oh,
fees, transcript
okay.
fees, return check, police reports, childcare fees.
Okay. I saw it. Okay.
Is there a motion for approval?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Then moved by Ross, second by Marshall. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstentions and nays. Ayes have it. Thank you. I am going to take a minute to read this entire resolution. So if approved tonight, I think this sends a strong message to our St. Louis Community College community of how we feel as a board. So I appreciate the work of others, as well as Dr. Pittman's support of this resolution. And so certainly I'm going to go ahead and read it for the public to hear. So St. Louis Community College, by the way, on line 35, there is a typo, so I appreciate the person submitting that, and that has been corrected by Jessica already. St. Louis Community College Board of Trustees resolution denouncing racism and supporting equity, safety, and well-being of Black, Brown, Indigenous people and those that identify as LGBTQAI+. Whereas St. Louis Community College and the Board of Trustees are committed to empowering students and expanding minds and changing lives. And whereas STLCC has a vision of being a national leader and model institution for inclusive and transformative education that strengthens the community it serves through the success of all students. And whereas STLCC has a core value of respect of all, at STLCC, we celebrate our diversity and we provide the necessary resources and supports to eliminate barriers to success and foster a more equitable future for all of our students. And whereas STLCC has stated equity, diversity, and inclusion as a theme under the 2020-2023 strategic plan, which includes clear goals and key performance indicators. And whereas throughout our nation's history, institutional and structural racism and injustices have led to deepening racial disparities across all sectors of society and have lasting negative consequences for our communities and nation. And whereas the COVID-19 pandemic has taken a disproportionate physical, mental, and financial toll on Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities. And whereas STLCC stands with and supports students and staff that identify as LGBTQIA+, and whereas Black and Brown and Indigenous community members continue to experience microaggressions, racial profiling, hate incidents, racial biases in all systems they encounter, including our public college institutions. And whereas historically, when Black, Brown, and Indigenous people have fought for a more democratic society, the lives of all people have improved, and conversely, each time barriers to Black, Brown, Indigenous people potentially have been eradicated, or our whole society has suffered. And whereas we recognize that discrimination, bias, and racist incidents against Black, Brown, and Indigenous students harm them mentally, physically, and academically. And whereas our public institutions are facilitators of the limitless growth potential of all people, and with a charge to instill in our students a belief that every person deserves to live with dignity, be valued within their inherent humanity, and be treated ethically. And whereas stating that Black, Brown, Indigenous lives matters does not negate our commitment to all members of our community, but rather elevates Black, Brown, Indigenous people who have historically been oppressed by our society, and affirming that their lives specifically matter. And whereas these efforts are aligned with our strategic plan and the recognition that valuing diversity that exists among our students, staff, and community members is an integral to our vision. And whereas we believe that silence and inaction perpetuates injustice, bias, and racism. Now, therefore, be it resolved that St. Louis Community College Board of Trustees stands firmly against bigotry, prejudice, discrimination, and inequity in all forms, both institutionally and individually. And be it further resolved, St. Louis Community College Board of Trustees wishes to affirm its commitment to the well-being, safety of Black, Brown, Indigenous community members and those that identify as LGBTQAI+, and let them know they are not alone. We denounce discrimination, racism, sentiments against Black, Brown, and Indigenous people, with another typo, Jessica. We will not tolerate racist treatment of any members of our community, and we will speak out against racism and systematic oppression in our society to stop the spread of bigotry. We will confront the biases in our own institutions and actively engage in the challenging work of dismantling problematic practices that are limiting opportunities for our Black, Brown, Indigenous, and LGBTQAI+ students and staff. Be it further resolved that St. Louis Community College will continue to seek to work tirelessly and collaboratively with staff, students, and the community to dismantle institutionalized racism in our society. And be it further resolved that St. Louis Community College Board of Trustees directs the college administration to have the College Diversity and Inclusion Council explore the recommendation to the Chancellor of adding Juneteenth as an official college paid holiday when it falls on Monday through Friday. And be it further resolved that the Diversity and Inclusion Council reports to the Board of Trustees quarterly as part of the strategic plan 2020-2023, theme monthly updates on the recommendations, initiatives, and progress. And be it further resolved that the college administration reviews St. Louis Community College Police Department guidelines and practices to ensure such that do not treat all humans being fairly are banned from allowable use within the department. And be it further resolved, this resolution will be posted on the college website, emailed to all students, staff, faculty on an official press release sent to all local media. Finally, be it resolved that the St. Louis Community College Board of Trustees declares that the lives of our Black, Brown, Indigenous, and LGBTQIA+ students and staff matter. We as a board therefore are committed to continuing to address systematic racism towards these groups of students and staff, and will continue to prioritize equity, diversity, and inclusion, adopted by the St. Louis Community College Board of Trustees on this 25th day of June 2020. Woo.
Very good.
So thank you again for Dr. Pittman for your support in that work, most certainly. And we know the statement is just a statement, and we look forward to the work to come. And we know with the strategic plan, this is certainly part of it. And I think as elected officials, it's our part to bring awareness to this and make a stance as a public board to say where we stand publicly, if so approved tonight. So with that, is our motion for approval?
So moved.
Been moved by Marshall, second by Graham. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Nays? Thank you. I'm really proud of this work, and I appreciate everyone's work on this. It's certainly, I think, some places would probably be a little nervous to make a statement. So I appreciate us being able to stand and certainly make our stance as a board where we feel. So thank you. Thank you to Dr. Pittman as well for that work. Recommended approval, item 18, recommended approval of the board chair to use an electronic signature.
So moved.
Been moved by Marshall,
Second,
second by Ross. So the Secretary of State requires the board approves electronic use of a signature for the chair. So therefore, that's what we're doing. So with that, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Abstentions, nays, ayes have it. Thank you. Pam, board committee childcare report.
I think Jeff maybe can add to this, but we're really excited because we have a program set up with the George Warren Brown School at Washington U to have a number of practicum students and be, I guess, staffed by one of our faculty members. So I think this is a great way to get involved with WashU and also work together with them to figure out how we can move forward with childcare, because I think they have obviously a lot of ability to help us with that. And, you know, still like working with the zoo eventually when the virus has subsided a little bit, I think we'll be back on that agenda.
Thanks, Trustee Ross. And I'll add that I really appreciate your leadership in connecting us with Brown and with the individual there. And yes, one of our faculty will serve as the clinical instructor over social workers in the master's program, students aspiring to be social workers. So that's going to bring a lot. We are scheduling a tour of the space at Forest Park in the not too distant future. And Trustee Ross, we'll talk some about going forward, probably in the next few days, where we are with the child care liaison position. We had been utilizing a faculty member who had taken release time to cover this role for the time being. And we had posted the job in a part-time manner, but have not received any applicants. So with the grant now approved, that would cover 60% of a full-time position. I know the budget's tight, but we assume that the board will still want us to move forward with a full-time child care liaison to help educate students about the opportunities for childcare in our district and at the college. So that's kind of a quick update from me that we're proceeding forward. Dr. Perkins is leading up. We've completed the job description and we'll be posting that in the near future.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Pittman.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Pam, your work on that. And certainly, Dr. Pittman, I think the board would support still moving forward with our initial plan of the full-time person for that to make awareness. So thank you for your work on that as well. Moving on to the consent agenda item. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
It's been moved by Larson,
Second.
second by Graham. Any discussion? Items to be pulled? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. At this time, we get to finally turn it over to Jessica, who gets to lead the meeting. So Jessica will be taking over at this point to call for nominations for the board chair. Once the board chair is elected, the new board chair will take over the meeting and they will run the vice chair nomination. So Jessica, at this time, the meeting is yours.
Thank you. Are there any nominations for the chair of the Board of Trustees?
Yes, I would like to nominate Pam Ross for chair of the Board of Trustees.
I'd like to second that.
Okay.
Pam, do you accept?
Oh, yeah, Pam, do you accept?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Nays? The ayes have it. Congratulations, Pam.
Yay.
Well, you know, it was a hard fought, but
Congratulations.
okay. And now Jessica, are you going to continue?
Meeting is all yours, Pam.
Okay, so now we're calling for nomination for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Annie Marshall.
Second,
Okay, second by
Martin.
Kevin Martin. All in favor? Or
Aye.
do we
Aye.
need to discuss?
She needs to accept.
I
Okay,
accept. I accept.
okay, thank you. You know, I'm new at this.
A minute
Okay,
in,
so do we need a roll call vote or we just have a voice vote?
boys.
Just a voice.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, abstentions? Okay, it looks like we have a new vice president. And board chairs report?
We need a nomination of trustee to the foundation board.
Oh, okay, that's not on my agenda, it's back farther. Okay, so do we have a nomination for someone to serve on the trustee board?
I'd like to nominate Dr. Graham, please.
Okay, Dr. Graham, do you accept?
Yes, as soon as I get a second.
Okay, do
I'll
we have a
second.
second?
Second,
Oh, okay, yes, thank you.
Okay,
I
okay,
accept.
okay, and so we need a vote on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, it looks like we have a new board member to the foundation board. Thank you. I know that it adds a few meetings to your life. I've done it. And then I guess I need to be reading, correct me if I'm wrong, I need to be reading the comments from,
Chancellor's report first. Sorry, Pam.
I'm sorry,
Chancellor's report. first.
Chancellor's report. Okay, Dr. Pittman, could you give us the Chancellor's report?
Okay, I am trying to share a screen. Did that come up for you?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I got a little PowerPoint here for you. I'll try to work through very quickly. And I just want to congratulate and thank Dr. Martin for his year of service and hard work over the past year. And for Trustee Ross serving as vice chair and now serving as the chair for the coming fiscal year, and Trustee Marshall for stepping up into the leadership role of vice chair. Look forward to your leadership, ladies, going forward. Just a few quick things here. We'll see if I can get this to work. There it goes. Just touch base with you on a few things where we are with fall semester planning. Of course, our planning is based upon the latest intel we get from the federal, state, and local healthcare agencies as we plan to enroll for the fall semester. We've already talked a little bit about the budget update and some of the challenges, so I'll briefly touch on that. Give you a quick update on our strategic initiatives campaign update, and then I have, as always, some fun pictures of Forest Park and all the things happening over there right now. The fall semester, as you all know, we have the FAST group, the Fall Academic and Safety Team, has been working to bring forward recommendations and basically have rewritten the fall semester that will be finished by the end of this month. As it stands right now, with all the healthcare agencies, for our career technical education programs, we plan to offer some classes on campus, of course, following all safety guidelines developed by FAST through a hybrid approach where those programs that we can do on ground will do all the didactic portions or the lecture portions of those classes online or with a virtual two-way video presentation, and then just do the necessary lab work and components on campus. That will apply also to science laboratories, and many of our art classes also have mandatory work when they have to use a kiln to develop a product or things of that nature. Again, will be offered on campus following safety guidelines. For our general education and transfer programs and courses, we'll be basically offering all of those virtually through a mix of online, live virtual, and hybrid experiences. Those will be done and offered in many cases in a synchronous fashion. For example, real time, real place for the faculty member. It could be a class that runs Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to 10. The students will have to log in, much like we do for these meetings for the board. So we're going to continue to build out our flexibility in the schedule for fall and be ready to shift all courses to an online environment as needed for the semester. Paul's already done a great job of explaining the budget. I won't go into much information there. We're going to certainly have challenges. It's stressing our budget. We have 75 positions we're not going to fill right now because of the situation. And really all the logistics, you can't believe the logistics around bringing people into the campus right now with all of the social distancing guidelines and other guidelines that we have to follow will certainly keep us very busy. Some additional things related to CARES Act funding and then the summer enrollment. I've already mentioned to all the trustees that about half of the budget was encumbered for student grants that was provided to us by the federal government. And then the balance was really up to us in regards to how we would use it. And it could be used for COVID related costs operationally, but we've elected to move forward with the concept of Take a Course on Us and to continue to provide free laptops for students that need them for the fall. That proved to be effective for the summer. As Paul's already mentioned, we were up 6% in student credit hours, up 2% for student headcount. That was not expected at all. So that was a wonderful surprise. And again, we'll continue pushing Take a Course on Us, really just trying to create as much access to the college as possible going forward. Quick update on our strategic initiative campaign. We passed the $12 million mark at this time. We're to 62% of our goal. I've already shared some information with the trustees about the St. Louis Community College Covenant House partnership. And then I'll talk for a minute about a new endowed internship fund that we're putting together right now. That being unique in providing paid internships for students. I think this may be a first for the foundation in regards to that. The Covenant House partnership, we're very, very excited. We've got one of 20 grants awarded nationally. It was about $1.2 million. We're working with the Covenant House. Trustee G is very familiar and served on the board on Covenant House, but it serves at-risk students and homeless youth. And this will provide funding for 2 cohorts of 40 students for no cost for them. That provides training, support services, counseling, and job placement. The project will serve low-income students who are between the age of 16 to 24 and who have barriers to education and employment. These are typically the clients that the Covenant House serves. Then upon the completion of a certificate training program, students can secure a job, enter an apprenticeship program, or join the armed services or transfer to a 4-year degree program, as the courses that we're offering will be set up in a more of a short-term stackable credential modality. Also, I'm pleased, related to the strategic initiatives campaign, many of you on the board have attended the St. Louis American Gay League here, where we present a student with scholarship. So I've been in conversation with Dr. Suggs. He's really excited and pumped about us expanding this to include paid internships. The idea of paid internships works very well for us in our biotech programs for startup companies at the Danforth Plant Science Center. And as most of you know, we have a newly appointed CEO at Cortex, Sam Fiorello. Sam and I have known each other for a long time now. He's quite a champion for the college. So we're looking for ways to partner with Cortex and get more direct engagement. So the idea of this is to take the existing endowed fund for Dr. Suggs of $10,000. I plan to donate $25,000 to this account to kind of get things rolling. But then we have a challenge grant here for you that I'm offering up to all the stakeholders in the college to raise additional funds and push this to a $60,000 endowed fund. And again, these funds will be utilized to assist students of color with tuition and paid internships for startup companies at both Cortex and the Danforth Plant Science Center. I'm very, very excited about that. And you can be the first one to meet a challenge if you're interested in donating to this particular fund. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, Dr. Suggs is extremely excited. Just some quick pictures of Forest Park campus. They are changing every day. The brick's all gone. This thing looks like a parking garage that's been with some brick veneer that's now off. The B tower is down. That only took a day. So they're moving through very rapidly. This is a little broader span picture with B tower gone and the remaining AB tower that's left. Trustees, I think most of you have seen some of the photos that I've shared with you on our new sign. I want to show that there is a lot of different colors and configurations that we can use the signage for. So we're excited about that. That concludes my report, Madam Chair.
You're muted, Pam, just so you know.
Very good.
You're still muted, Pam. Dr. Pittman, I'll say thank you so much. That's very generous of you to donate $25,000 to kick off that campaign as you asked for questions. And so
Okay,
thank you again for your contribution to that. Wait for,
okay, so
My pleasure.
Kevin, I'm now supposed to read the public comments?
well, I don't know if there's any other questions for the Chancellor.
Oh, okay.
Hi, it's Annie. Thank you again, Dr. Pittman. I think that's so generous and really lovely. Is there a way that we can, can we share that challenge with other folks in the community?
Yes, absolutely. The idea is certainly to have an impact with this concept, both inside the college and outside the college. So I think most of you know, when I go out and fundraising in the community, our motto is, or my motto is, no gift is too large. These are students that really need a lot of help. And Dr. Suggs' scholarship over the years have presented a lot of opportunities for people of color that just may not have access at all to community college or a lot of the universities that are represented. So absolutely, please share this with everyone you know. And I think we can get a lot of people excited about this and raise some money pretty quickly.
Yeah, if you could kindly just send us a little link or something that we can then share to the folks that we'd like to, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
All right, we sure will.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, if you'd send us something that we could send forward to other people.
Okay, will do.
Thanks.
Other comments?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, I have to apologize. I can't see the agenda. I am now looking at the comments, the public comments, so I'm ready to read that if that
I'll call
is,
you after the Zoom.
if that is correct.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. So this one is from Ellen McCloskey, communication professor at Wildwood. I just want to congratulate Mary Lukey on her election to the St. Louis Community College Board of Trustees. I know your love for students will be greatly appreciated at the college. Way to go, Mary. You got this, Ellen. Okay, the next one is from Geoffrey Schneider. He's the chair of the English department at Merrimack. Earlier this spring, I was asked, well, the grammar's not very good. Earlier this spring, I was asked parents in my neighborhood in Kirkwood if having their children take classes at the community college as opposed to sending them away to live in dorms in Columbia or Rolla was a good idea. I explained that any of the core 42 classes would transfer and that our classes are taught by highly qualified, credentialed, and experienced faculty as opposed to graduate teaching assistants. These parents were excited about their children attending STLCC in the fall and were immediately impressed by our college's ability to provide premier student learning experiences at a fraction of the cost of our four-year counterparts. One parent asked me why STLCC had not reached out to local parent-teacher organizations to inform them that we are a high-quality and affordable institution that can keep their college-age children focused on completing coursework while staying safe at home. After my walk, I immediately asked members of my campus academic leadership team if we could begin to pursue direct outreach focused on staying home safe while studying at STLCC. They seemed enthusiastic and said they would share the idea with the college's marketing and communications office. A month or so later, I asked again whether this outreach had occurred, but did not receive a clear answer. Last weekend, a member of the leadership team at UMSL informed me that not only was their enrollment up significantly for the summer, but they were also expecting an increase in enrollment in the fall. In a large measure, she felt that their efforts to reach out directly to parent-teacher organizations and to parents themselves about UMSL providing a cost-effective and safe alternative to residential campuses across the state was responsible for these increases. Needless to say, I was a bit flummoxed to hear that they benefited from an idea we too could have followed. For this and other reasons, I'm concerned that we as a college are not doing an effective job of communicating with, recruiting, or retaining students. I am troubled that we either do not solicit or even outright ignore input from faculty. Just as we have talented and committed administrators and staff, we have equally talented and committed faculty who work more closely with students on a daily basis, and as a result, understand in many ways how to communicate with them more effectively. By not including faculty in discussions about marketing and communications, we are doing a great disservice to our college. Again, that's from Geoffrey Schneider, chair of the Department of English at Merrimack. And this one is from Emily Neal. Hello and good evening to all students, trustee, faculty, staff, and administration. I submit these remarks to you as a professor of political science and as the president of the full-time faculty union, SDLCC-NEA. The time is now to address white supremacy culture and institutional racism in our region, in our country, and on our institution. For too long, colleges and universities, including community colleges have not addressed the root cause of oppression and marginalization of Black folks and other communities of color. Chancellor Pittman in his June 3rd message acknowledged the role that STLCC played during the Ferguson uprising. This was an important message. Words matter and protest matters. Even so, we must think about what happens beyond this Freedom Summer. Police brutality and violence disproportionately impacts the Black community. Then again, that is by design. A review of the history of policing in the United States revealed that some of our earliest police forces were really in place as slave patrols. Our current social milieu grew out of that history. Michael Brown was murdered by a police officer. Sandra Bland was murdered while in police custody. George Floyd was murdered by police, pressing a knee to his neck, even as onlookers begged them to stop. Breonna Taylor was murdered in her own home. Rashard Brooks was murdered for sleeping at a Wendy's drive-thru. St. Louis Community College is a regional leader. This should be no different when it comes to doing the difficult but crucial work of dismantling white supremacy culture and institutional racism. We need to look at our own institution, and cultural change starts at the top. Will the college support anti-racist training for the trustees and leadership team? Will the college support ongoing anti-racist training for all employees? Thank you for this time this evening. Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Emily Neal, PhD, Professor of Political Science, NEA President. This one is from Scott Galvert. Good evening, members of the board, community college, the St. Louis community. I'm an associate professor of biology and a member of the St. Louis community. Higher education is at a crossroads, and St. Louis Community College is no exception. The coronavirus pandemic has put our shortcomings and inequity in the open. As a community college deeply rooted in the community, we must look within ourselves to find our way forward. To this end, we can no longer focus on best practices, as these have become comfort practices. They make us risk averse and eliminated innovation. As an example is the course of record for online education. In distance learning, it is cited as a best practice, but when you dive deeper, the course in a box model offers no innovation, flexibility, or timeliness. Imagine being in a biology class and being unable to discuss the coronavirus because it's not part of the box. We are not a one-size-fits-all institution, so best practices do not fit our diversity. The time is now for true innovation in all areas of the college. The fall academic and safety team is a great example of how innovation works at STLCC. In 6 weeks, a dedicated group of students and employees created guidance for a fall 2020 semester that supports students and provides safety for our students and employees. Without best practices to rely on, our collaboration and innovation built a flexible schedule to address the needs of our diverse student body while planning for a resurgence of the virus. Imagine what more we could accomplish if we followed this model in other areas. Now is the time to embrace the creativity and expertise of the faculty, staff, students to grow as an institution and become the best. With everything facing our community at this time, we must throw out the best practices rule and become an innovative institution. I know we can be. The faculty, staff, and students are ready. Again, that is Scott Galvert, a PhD, Associate Professor of Biology. This one is from a number of people, so I'll read that at the end. As the college continues its movement to move more online course offerings, we wish to bring the attention of the board one flaw in the process: the review of courses of record. Courses with standardized content across sections. 2 courses, English 101 and 102, College Composition 1 and 2, are no longer in compliance with the college's student learning outcomes. But there is no mechanism in place to correct this deficiency. Because of this, we recommend these courses of record not be used until this is fixed. The 2 CORs were developed for an accelerated online associate arts degree that required 8-week courses. In order to speed the development process and meet the college's laudable goal of expanding online offerings, they were not reviewed by English faculty across the district. These then became the courses included in the college's first list of CORs approved by the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs and posted to Blackboard in November 2019. Between the time these courses were developed and now, however, the college has revised its student learning outcomes in light of the 5 years of college-wide assessment data. This led to all general education courses profiles being approved in November 2019, the same month as the COR list. While these efforts ran on parallel tracks, the core designated in November 2019 were not reviewed to ensure that they met the changed SLOs because there was not a review process established for them. Other courses in other disciplines have had such a review process with district-wide faculty development teams to ensure that CORs reflect disciplinary standards and comply with our own course SLOs. These include such teams for Bio 151, Math 140, Math 160, and Math 180. Fall 2020 teams include those for Economics 151, it's PHL, which I suppose is Philosophy 101, PSC 101, and PSY 205. These courses were chosen because they, like the 2 English courses in question, are in high demand. We have raised this issue with the appropriate persons within the Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs, but have been told that since the courses have already been approved, there's no need for the kind of review process that has been given these other courses. Our major interest is, of course, ensuring the students succeed. We have gone to great effort to ensure that our SLOs help articulate the skills and knowledge acquired through successful completion of course. Every degree program at STL requires at least English 101. Our largest single major, General Transfer Studies, requires both. Both courses are included in the Missouri Transfer Program, guaranteeing their acceptance at public colleges in Missouri. Before we begin offering these CORs, they should go through the same review process that has been used for other courses to ensure that they meet the SLOs outlined in the course profiles. That is from Maxine Beach, Associate Professor of English, Michael Burke, same professor, Associate Professor of English, Rebecca Burns, Associate Professor of English, Pamela Garvey, Professor of English, Trevin Jones, Professor of English, Richard Longs, Professor of English, Richard Pernard, Assistant Professor of English, Shannon Sanders, Associate Professor of English, Geoffrey Schneider, Professor of English, David Taylor, Professor of English, Kelly Wavering, Professor of English, and Rebecca Winter, Assistant Professor of English. And that concludes that. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Now I need to get back to my agenda. Okay. Oh boy, I'm sorry. I'm having a little trouble accessing. Okay, now we are down to board members actually the board chair's report, which I skipped, but I would just like, as current board chair, to really deeply thank Kevin for an incredible amount of work. And just, it was amazing to me how much he could juggle at one time and get it to all work very well. And he's been very, very helpful to me through this process and very respectful. So my deepest thanks to Kevin for that. So now we have board member comments. Doris, would you?
Oh, Doris, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, Kevin, you can start.
No, you said Doris. Dr. Graham, go ahead. You're muted.
Doris is muted? Oh.
Thank you. I'm unmuted now. Thank you, Kevin, for telling me I was muted. And thank you. Congratulations, our new president, our new chairperson. I know you'll do a great job. And I want to thank Kevin personally again for doing an exceptional job as our chair. I mean, he was all over the place and he got it done. Yes, he did. I was concerned about him. I told him. He said, oh, I got lots of energy. I can do this. I said, okay, just don't get sick. And he did it. And I'm very proud of him. I just want to share with you, and congratulations to our co-chair, Annie. Thank you. I want to share with you that Just Mercy, the library's Racial Justice Film Club, Just Mercy will be shown tomorrow. It's at Friday, June 26th. And Dr. Freeman will be the moderator of it. And it's from 4 to 5 p.m. And I called, they said they needed moderators. So I called Christian and volunteered to be a moderator for the Pruitt-Igoe myth. And that will be on the Thursday, July 16th, 2020, from 10 a.m. will be the first session, then 2 p.m. will be the next session. So all of you who are available who can see that online, just do that, okay?
That's great. Okay. Annie, do you have some comments?
Hi, yeah, I sure do. Thank you, Pam, and congratulations. Also, Kevin, you've been amazing. You've been so responsive and really helpful to me, learning how to work my way around the board this last year, my first year on the board. I guess I can't say I'm new anymore. So Mary, now you can say that you're new and you can use that for 1 year. And then,
I will.
But use it all you want. Ask as many questions. I asked a ton of questions and people were wonderful and generous with their answers. So thank you very much. I do have a comment. I wanted to just tell everybody I am now going to be joining the Diversity, Inclusion, and the Diversity and Inclusion Council. And we had our first meeting, or I had my first meeting Monday, June 15th, and we discussed new initiatives that are going to align with the 2020-2023 strategic plan. And it was really, it's just an amazing group of people. And I want to thank Mr. Fuller for such a nice welcome and taking his time and with me also with all of this. I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about what we talked about. So, as you know, the strategic plan has four themes, and equity, diversity, and inclusion is one of those four themes. Since COVID-19, we've seen that folks that have suffered most have been the elderly and the Black and brown folks who suffer from negative health issues due to food insecurity, unjust housing rights, and a flood of 400 years of systemic racist policies. This, coupled with the recent filmed police murders of Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and others, has ignited deep anger by all people seeing the injustice in plain sight to our Black and brown brothers and sisters. We must use this energy as an inflection point, a time where real transformation and justice can take place. And we have work to do. And this moment calls upon St. Louis Community College to be intentional and bold in our actions. We can be a transformative institution for the betterment of our students, our employees, and our community. And to that end, we have several steps that we are going to take that have been revised. Step one is the development of a diversity and inclusion climate survey. And that's going to allow the college to have a snapshot of employee and student perspectives to determine how aligned the real life experiences of groups are with the stated values. Step two is going to, we'd like to have an immersive diversity, inclusion, and equity training using industry's best practice. And the participants, the first participants would be college leadership. So that would be college leadership, board of trustees, and the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Council. And then we would like the staff and faculty to participate in also an immersive training. We also, step three would be looking at employee demographics and developing initiatives that would match, so we could have our workforce more closely resemble that of our geographical area. Step four, we would examine the data behind the inequitable results of our completion graduation rates. Also launching new initiatives to change curriculum to be more inclusive. And then we would also have an examination of curriculum to identify opportunities to increase a historical accurate understanding and incorporate social justice teachings, which could be led by faculty in coordination with the Office of Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity, as well as academic affairs and student affairs. So there's a lot of other things, but that's basically the gist of it. But it's just time. It's time to be transformative, not reformative, but transformative. So
thank you so much, Ian. Kevin, would you like to speak, or do you want to wait till the end so you can respond to others?
No, I will be short. And I say short.
No, don't be short, Kevin. Come on.
No, I really appreciate all the kind comments and all that everyone made. It's been a pleasure serving as the chair of the last year, and certainly I appreciate, again, Dr. Pittman's work and openness to hearing what the board wants. And certainly, I will say I said it earlier tonight, but certainly we move pretty quick on a lot of things that sometimes take a long time. And so I appreciate being able to respond quickly, and working with Kate as well, our legal team, to be able to rewrite all the policies has been a big accomplishment. I feel like we did a lot this year, and having great trustees to work with, it's always great to hear different perspectives, and I enjoy all of our phone calls. I'll miss Libby's short-winded phone calls. Enjoy Mary's phone calls as well. So I appreciate Libby over the time, and certainly, it was a pleasure serving. I look forward to 6 years ahead, and without the seven of us, working together, it really is what makes it happen. And so I appreciate Dr. Pittman's strong leadership, and certainly, again, I feel like we were able to accomplish a lot because together we all work well together and provide different perspectives. And certainly I appreciate all of our different perspectives. I'll say that word 15,000 times, but just really I appreciate how we can all come together on important things and certainly have different opinions, but still come to compromise to get what we need. So it's been a pleasure over the last year, and certainly it's been a busy year. And it's hard to describe when people say, like, how are you going to manage everything? And certainly as it's official, like I'm on the Ferguson-Florissant School Board as well, and people were worried, like, how are you going to do both? And, until you know me, there's no way to describe how I'm going to be able to be a principal, be on two boards, and certainly until you just know how I operate, it's just something I can't describe, except I'm committed to everything I do. And if I feel I can't do it 100%, I'm not going to do it. And so there's no way to describe it, or people can think I'm not able to, but certainly I think the last year has shown that. So I appreciate everyone's kind words and look forward to the years to come. So thank you for everything that you all do to make the chair life easy, and certainly look forward to still serving on the board for 6 more years. So thank you.
We don't call you a wonder for nothing, Kevin. And Craig, can you give us an update on the tax initiative?
Oh, yeah, I'll keep this relatively short. The board started talking about this actually more than a year ago, kind of informally, well before COVID and all of that, just thinking about how can we develop the funds that we need really for 2 projects. One is a renovation of all of our buildings, many of those buildings really haven't been substantially touched for decades, and some have. I mean, it's a varied situation, but we did, maybe 3 years ago, we did an architectural study of the buildings and got some really good ideas on how to make our campuses very student friendly and the kind of places that people would want to come to go to college. And we have done some things in the right direction. We have the help, as we thanked Dr. Pittman, he helped us put together the Health Careers building and now make some internal changes at Forest Park. So we're already moving in the right direction. But to do the work that we really envision across all of our campuses is going to take some money that we literally don't have right now. And we've just heard about state budget cuts and the reality that our finances aren't in better shape. They're in worse shape than when we started this conversation. So we now have a committee that includes some staff members, some members of the foundation, some folks that are just stakeholders in the institution, and are looking at what kind of effort might we want to put forward at some point. And we don't know when this would be. This has always been intended as a long-term view. But at what point would we want to go to the public and talk to them about what we need, both to renovate the campuses, and I didn't say the second issue, which is to offer the programming. We heard some good comments from our professors today. And I think, a piece of that is knowing what does the region really require from the community college in terms of majors, in terms of the way we can reach out and get people to come back to college to get that next job that they need now that we're back into a recession. And Kevin talked about being nimble. Part of being nimble is to have the resources to be nimble, to say, oh, well, here's a business that's asking us. And it's easier to give a good example than it is to just be abstract. So we've gotten into coding. We didn't even talk about coding 3 or 4 years ago. And we didn't talk about the role the community college could play with independent education institutions outside really of the sort of traditional educational sector that have been stepping up to help people become coders, and the businesses that are looking for a lot of talent and need that in the region. We can play a role there, and Dr. Pittman, using money that he has under his control for initiatives, has helped us do that. But that's just an example. We've got great example over in biotech. I mean, you can look at things we've been doing. We just need to expand and do more of that. So the committee has met. We've had informal conversation. Our next step is actually to get smarter about the literal finance of if we were to go to the taxpayers, would it be a bond issue? Would it be a tax increase? So we have an expert in the community who actually also serves on our foundation board, who's going to address the committee and just help us think through the structures of this. And I am, as a board member on the committee, partially, or maybe most importantly, to keep the board apprised of those discussions, and kind of at some point we'll be soliciting board input into where do we want to go from here. We did do a survey, as the board knows, I guess now 9 months ago. So really before an awful lot of things have happened, and we were very encouraged by that survey. People in this region believe that St. Louis Community College is a very important asset. They support us. They want us to do the work that we've been doing. And, you know, it's good to know that we can leverage that goodwill as we make a request, but we don't make a request until we're really clear about what we want to ask for. I said I'd be short. That wasn't very short. That gives you kind of an idea of where we are right now.
Oh, Craig, thank you so much.
Add anything to that?
Thank you very much. I know that is going to take a lot of time in the future, and it's really critical to us. Obviously, the state keeps, you know, cutting back, and we can't survive without some new income. So that's a really critical part. Mary, would you like to say anything? We're really happy to have a new member and look forward to working with you. So if you have some comments, we'd love to hear them.
Well, I just want to thank you all for being so welcoming. I'm going to get my land legs here and see what's happening. Kevin's been very helpful, Pam, Annie, Doris, all of you, Jessica particularly. Craig, you were so kind to contact me. I think I need to, Dr. Pittman, figure out a little bit of thoughts and learn, because it's important to do the work that you all do in a responsible and informed way. I think I'd like to thank the people who made public comment. I thought those were thoughtful comments. They were carefully constructed so that we look at the issues of students and outreach and community issues. And so I found it all to be very informative. And I take the work that you all do very seriously, and I'm very grateful to be part of it for the future. Thank you.
Well, we certainly look forward to working with you, Mary. Thank you so much. Are there any other comments? Hearing none, do we have any new business? Hearing none, can we call for an adjournment? Would someone like to move to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Thank you. Do we need a roll call vote, Jessica?
No, just voice.
No.
Okay. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So moved. Thank you very much for this evening. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night all.
Bye.
Good night.